Time for the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the greatest game on earth, baseball. In its 7th season, talking about the Dodgers, and this season the Padres, and of course other happenings in and around baseball at every level, are your hosts, Jana, the little sister, and Jeff, her big brother. Find SRBB on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. Visit the website siblingrivalrybb.com. And now, here's your host, with baseball in their DNA, Jeff and Janet. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast is back. Let the celebrations begin. There is a parade about to happen in Gaslamp because we're back from our little hiatus, and I guess it wasn't a hiatus, it was just a break. It was our normal midsummer break that kind of goes with the All-Star break, and so you can go off and, what is it, Founders Day or some kind of celebration like that?
Pioneer Day.
Well, okay, Founders Day, Pioneer Day.
Pioneer Day. We honor you.
Thank you.
As the pioneer.
And yet I'm never invited. That's the thing that I don't really understand.
Yeah. Pioneer Day
invite
in Utah.
Me to my day.
Yeah. Well, you're invited next year.
It's like it's like coming in on the evening, like late on a day, and finding out that on your birthday, and then finding out they had a big birthday celebration without you.
Right.
Or I read this one time where this guy was upset they wondered how come this guy was upset because they were having a birthday party for his brother. They're like, why are you mad? We're having a birthday. It's for your brother. He goes, but we're twins.
That would really be upsetting.
So anyway.
Oh,
all
that's
right,
great.
So we got lots to go over, being gone for a week. So we're going to recap just what happened, about 4 series worth for the Padres, 3 series for the Dodgers. And of course, we've got 2 teams here that are kind of both looking in the same direction as we talk about the trade deadline. So we're going to talk trade deadline stuff as well. But first, let's go to Petco. All right, so the Padres actually came out of the All-Star break and went to Kauffman Stadium. And took on coming out of the break, the Royals were battling out with the Angels and the Rockies for the worst record in baseball. Thanks to the Padres, they were able to distance themselves from the Angels and the Rockies a little bit by taking 2 of the 3 games from the Padres. Really, overall, one big game for the Padres. Now, in the 3, they didn't look bad. It wasn't like they got blown out. The Padres didn't.
No, the first game they went to innings. So.
Right. So they had chances to win, but you were like, oh, coming out of the break, you're like, okay, we know that this is make or break time for them. Usually we look at like the end of the season is, are they must win games to get into the playoffs or whatever. These were, must win games if they want a chance at the playoffs, but also if they want a chance to maybe get some people that can help them get to the playoffs. Because they've been having some issues, but one of the things that they've had issues with, which is pitching, seem to work out a deal. It's not going to last long, but they seem to work something out that's been working pretty well for them. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we go. But they lose 2 of the 3 in Kansas City, but in what everybody, especially what the announcers, Don and Mud, said repeatedly, this is a laugher. This isn't officially a laugher now. And they take out the Royals 19-2. And I guess what we'd call the spotlight game of that series for the for the Padres. Only Manny and Miguel Andujar were hitless in that game. I think Ty France, and he had 2 home runs in that game. Jackson Merrill had 2 home runs. Of course, the last home run for both of them came off of, I think his name's Tolbert, who was the starting shortstop that day. Bobby Witt Jr. getting a day off. Salvi Perez was at first base instead of behind the plate. And so that was the one that they did. Michael King had a good outing. Fernando Tatis would hit 500 throughout the series. Ty France, 417 with 3 home runs. Of course, we mentioned where 2 of them came from. And as usual, the best pitcher of the group for him, Michael King. Even though they ended up losing, he does go 6 innings in his start and only gives up 1 run. But that would be the one that you talked about that went to innings, and he had nothing to say about how it all ultimately ended up, but he did his best to keep them in it for the 6 innings he was there. So they collect up their things and head to Atlanta, and hey, they swept Atlanta in San Diego. Who's to say that they wouldn't get swept by Atlanta, to repay the favor, right?
Right,
well,
yeah.
Almost. So here you're thinking, I guess they're going to be sellers. The Padres are, because they go to Atlanta. They take 1 convincing win, 8-3, but they lose the other 3. They do get 2 good starts. Walker Buehler and then Michael King, who came up on the back end. Michael King goes another 6 inning, gives up just 1 run, 7 Ks. Buehler goes 5 2/3, and only gives up 2 runs, which is something when you think that he walked 5.
Yeah, I was going to say that they won this game 8-3, and he only struck out 3 and then walked 5. You would think
it could have went the other way, but
yeah.
Here's something that I know I've probably overlooked. I've mentioned, we're seeing some things perk up, but since mid-June, like slightly early to mid-June, the Padres have moved up offensively. They've been in the top 10 of all MLB teams offensively. And since July, they're in the top 3. So the bats have been coming around. And the problem has been the pitching. So these guys are coming out, like we saw with Michael King. He keeps them, he limits the other team to 1 run, and then the bullpen falls apart. So, and a lot of the problem has been that you're getting decent starts out of Michael King, mostly decent starts out of Walker Buehler. Those have been the 2. And then you don't know what's going to happen. When Griffin Canning comes in, even if you do like an opener like they started, he's going to give something up 4 or 5 runs, and it's just not going to work out if you're giving up 10 runs, but you're only scoring 9. Versus Atlanta, Tatis once again .333. He had a home run, actually 2 in Kansas City. So he's picked up a little bit on that. He's not going to be hitting over 20, I don't think. But Manny Machado, number 1 in Kansas City. In that game, he didn't have a hit, the 19-2 game. He was not wearing his lazy pants.
Yeah. See, and I need to do a better, I need to watch either a condensed game or highlight, whatever, and make a note, like keep a chart of
Yes.
when he wears and how he wears them.
And what's the effect on not only him but the rest of the team? Right
Yes.
now, he's looking pretty good because in this series he goes he hits 3 home runs in Atlanta with 3 RBIs. So that means they were all solo home runs. But that's something. Hits .353, so he was getting some base hits and getting on base, trying to get things going. Ty France, of course, has continued. He and Tatis have been keeping this offense going. Ty France with a couple of home runs, 278 in that, but like I said, they lose the series in Atlanta. So you're like, okay. Now this is a matchup that's really going to matter a lot more than these last 2 have, because they're going to Miami, a team that they are actively battling in the wild card race.
Yeah.
And, another good outing by Manny Machado. This series, he bats .333 with a home run, 4 RBIs, a couple of doubles. We see the, the surfacing of a former Angel and Brewer, Luis Rengifo.
Oh, right.
Has a pretty decent outing versus the Marlins. He hits .500 over the series with a double and a couple of RBIs. Ty France also hit .500, went 6 for 12 with 3 RBIs. And Jackson Merrill has started to heat up even more, hitting .455 over that with a home run, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs. And they sweep the Marlins and get themselves back to 500. They leave Miami at 500. So while they're still... So now all of a sudden you're thinking, ooh, maybe there is something to be excited about. Maybe we should be thinking about buying. We'll talk a little more about what we should maybe think about that in the big picture in just a second. Let's wrap up their series that we could talk about that they finished up. A really weird, it's not rare, but it's weird, kind of rare, I guess, that you play your own division rival in a 2-game set.
Yeah, that is yeah, I know, because I was looking and I was like, where's the other game? I look on Monday. No. No.
They have, if I go back and look at it, they have, it'll work out. So they get the 13 games and they have one more 4-game set versus the Rockies coming up in a little bit later in the season. And so they just go with 2 here. They take both of them from the hapless Rockies, who are tied with the Angels for the worst record in baseball. Once again, good series from Manny again. Fernando Tatis, first game out versus the Rockies, goes 5 for 5, ends up going 6 for 8 in the series with a couple of RBIs. Jackson Merrill, 4 for 8 in that series.
I mean, if the Padres can continue to hit the way they're hitting, their offense, if they can get their pitching in line, then they could,
well,
obviously they could be, every year they're a contender, but if they could continue is what I mean, and be real and just be hot. against the other teams, then I mean, it seems obvious, but they've got to like keep the hot hand.
They absolutely have to keep the consistency with what they've been doing. I think that's probably, if there's any one term that you can bring up for any team, it's consistency.
Yeah.
Look at the teams who win regularly, or we can talk about the Red Sox, who just came off of like a 14 or 15 game win streak.
Mm-hmm.
During that time frame, the one thing that you can look back and see, if you look at look at all the box scores, you'll see some sort of consistency to it. The pitching was doing something pretty standard, or the bullpen was coming in and shutting things down. They were hitting in the right spots. Situationally, they were on top of it. Interestingly enough, you mentioned the pitching. Obviously, with Michael King, he does his pretty standard 6 innings. He gives up 4 runs in the one game that he pitched, but he still has a pretty quality start. Xander Bogaerts would get a walk-off single in one of them. I think that was the first game. Griffin Canning got something that he hadn't seen in a long time in this Colorado series as well.
A win?
Yes, he did. He did. He gave up. He only did. So here's what they've been doing. They've been using, and I meant to mention this in Miami, they used Randy Vasquez, who had been starting but was not having any success, put him in the bullpen. So he'd been pitching out of the pen and things red. So they use him as an opener. He has an awesome game. He really sets the tone there, and that as the opener did well, just over 2 2/3. Well, now you go to this Colorado series, even when Griffin Canning's had an opener before, and he's had Kyle Hurt as his opener before, he normally, whatever happens with the opener gets wasted with Griffin. Well, not this time. This time he actually goes 3 innings, gives up 1 hit, strikes out 4. And they walk away with that 2-game sweep, a 5-game win streak. This is only their second win streak of the year that is more than 4 games. They had one early in the season with 8 games, and now at 5. So, like I said, offensively, they seem to have figured out what to do, and a lot of the problem hasn't been being able to put runs on the board. The problem has been being able to keep the other team from putting runs on the board. And that's it. Now, because, and this is something we'll get into, I'm sure, with the Dodgers and other teams, as we're talking about the trade deadline, AJ Preller, we call him the GM, but he's, I think, technically the president of baseball operations, everybody says if there's any magic to be made out there, don't discount what AJ Preller can do. He can pull a rabbit out of a hat. And he's a guy who likes to make trades. He wants to get out there and wheel and deal, and he's done it a lot. We can see it through the years of the players that have come through. He traded a couple of guys off and I'm trying to remember the 2 that left, but ended up with Tatis back. Pretty good deal, based off of what you're saying. He's made some great deals. So the things that he has to figure out now is he knows he needs pitching. Number one, what pitchers are actually going to be available based on what he can give. The Padres have what, oddly enough, I don't know when this changed, but the Padres farm system took over last place, the 30th worst, or the 30th ranked farm system from the Angels.
Yeah. That's quite a feat.
Yeah, that's hard to
But
do.
I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with how he just kind of sold the farm, right?
Right. Yeah,
And they
he's
just didn't
given away
have anybody coming up because they were all gone. So then you have to wait for the drafts.
the biggest guy that they have right now, Ethan Salas, they just promoted him to AAA. He's a catcher. He would be their biggest trade as far as prospects go. So who knows what he's going to be able to trade? He might be able to trade a couple of minor leaguers that don't have, who knows what he can get. But he's not. I don't think he's going to be able to trade to Detroit, let's say, for Tarek Skubal, because he's not going to have enough capital for that. So the question is, what can he do? And he also has to determine what kind of help he should get. Probably needs another bat somewhere. But he needs to figure it out based off of where's Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta.
Yep.
Realistically, when can he expect them back? And what does he think? Where does he think they'll be? When they get there, how long will it take to get them fully stretched out? And I mean, if they can get back by August and they have most of August and all of September, they can be ready for October if you can hold it all together. So that's the question is, realistically, here's what we have. What can we do? The thing is the guys, the players are all saying, I'm hoping we're doing whatever, I think it was Jackson Merrill who said, hopefully this gives him enough to invest in the team because they've been playing better overall and they know what they need. So will that happen? The question is, even with these changes, and we have to look at too, the Padres have the Giants coming in, which the Giants aren't that good of a team, but you don't know what's going to happen. They could still come in and beat them. They're not the Rockies. But
Not quite.
No. And then as the trade deadline is 3:00 Pacific time on Monday the 3rd, and that evening they start a series with the Diamondbacks in Arizona, and the Diamondbacks are ahead of them right now.
Yep.
They've got second place. Will it be like, remember a couple seasons ago when the Angels decided to go in and buy and then promptly fell apart? Will this happen to the Padres? Are they ready for this? And will those people coming back, the two pitchers are the biggest thing. There's not really, if they can't make any real moves on the field, they definitely need at least one decent starting pitcher and maybe some relief help. So we shall see. But I do think it's probably pretty safe to say that Mason Miller's probably not going anywhere. Now, I don't think they're in a full let's just sell off the farm and figure something else out, call it a season.
Yeah.
So, but like everything, we won't know officially until Monday. So next time we talk to you guys next week, we will have all of that information about what really goes down. More trade talk as we go through the show today, more and around baseball, because there have been a few things happening. Before we move on to Dodger Stadium and what's happening with the Bums, Let me get you a player of the week. There were a couple of names. I think you probably heard them pop up 2 or 3 times that for the players of the week. You know, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado both come in there. Ty France, those would be 3 that were big names. Of course, Michael King could be there, but I think I'm gonna the last minute change just because this may be the only one he ever gets. I don't remember giving him one when he was an Angel, but maybe. I'm going to give it to Griffin Canning because he didn't completely implode and he finally got a win.
This is funny because I also gave it to Griffin Canning. Because every time he pitches, he never really helps out the team. And then I had decided this before the last game. And now it's kind of like, yay, he got a win. So, but it's funny that you also chose Griffin Canning. Because
he's like from what's his name, Nuke Lelouch in Bull Durham. He's talking about every time I pitch, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
That is exactly how it is like for him because it never
That's why I got to celebrate that
right.
little thing.
Yeah, celebrate the little things. Celebrate the little things.
The silver linings. He should be used to that.
Yes.
He was an Angel for all that time.
Yes.
All right, now let's go to Uniqlo in the Echo Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. And we also call it Dodger Stadium.
Yes.
Babe, you gotta help me out, babe.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
So the Dodgers spent a good chunk of their time on the East Coast after the All-Star game, the break. And they did go into the Bronx. And of course, that was, billed as, a repeat of the 2024 World Series.
Rematch,
It was, rematch, repeat, whatever. And Dodgers go in and take the series. They win 2 out of the 3 games. The second game, well, I say the second game, but they did have weather, so it was postponed. And the thing is they played a doubleheader on that Sunday game, and the Sunday night game was supposed to be on Peacock. It still was, but it was because it was Yamamoto and it was Cam
Schlittler.
And
yes, you have to think about it before you say it.
Yes, before you say it. But they ended up pitching in the first game, and then the second game, the Dodgers went with a bullpen game. But in this first game, Roki Sasaki pitched, and keep an eye out on him. He goes 5 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, just 1 run. But it was Max Muncy who had the home run that won the game in the 7th, because Garrett Cole had started, and it looked like he pretty much had them, he had them under his thumb. But in this game, I can't remember who there's a player on. Sorry, it's been a while since to remember. But maybe it was Mookie was on base, and I think he may have walked him, and then Muncy comes up to bat, and Aaron Boone's going to take Garrett Cole out, and Garrett's like, "Nope, I'm staying," and then he promptly gives up a home run to Max Muncy, and then took himself out.
You could see when that happened that Aaron Boone's head just dropped.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Well,
I knew
I mean,
it.
it's not an unusual thing where that'll happen.
Yeah.
And it's like here you wish you'd have made that
Well,
move, but with Garrett, with a player like Garrett Cole,
that's what
who's
I was just
been
gonna say.
pitching well, you got to give him. It's not like
Yeah.
if you go out there and it's Emmett Sheehan.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna just take him out. He can say, "Oh, keep me in." You're still gonna be, "No, I'm gonna take you out." Garrett Cole has a little bit more. Not a little bit. Has more.
He has a lot. Yeah, a lot
A lot
more. He's
more.
got got a Cy
But
Young and a
so
few
that
other
was
things.
kind of that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that one was it was that the way that all played out. It was
Yes.
and it was almost like scripted moments, especially Dodgers and Yankees.
Yes.
And then you've got your star pitcher. Then you go, okay, I'll give you a break. And then you have the guy who, and Max Muncy, who's really starting to be recognized as one of the top, not just third basemen in the league, but players in the league.
Yeah.
Even though how many years has he been around? He's finally getting his due, and he just made him pay. And
He certainly did.
And it almost felt like that was the end of the game. They probably could have ended it right there because it just didn't feel like that. And I don't remember if the Yankees threatened again after that. But it just didn't seem like anything was done. Now let's see. Yankees were 3 up, 3 down. And then in the 8th, yeah, they
I was gonna
made
say, I
things
feel like they
interesting in the
may.
8th inning. In the
Mhm.
8th inning, they made things a little interesting. Vesia walked Trent Grisham, and
Yeah.
then Ben Rice got a double. I remember that. And then they intentionally walked Paul Goldschmidt,
Yeah.
and was able to get all-star Cody Bellinger to fly out, and that was the end of it.
That was it. Yeah. So, and in this series, Yamamoto pitched a complete game and 9 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and did give up a home run. But a complete game for Yoshi. And once again, Max Muncy, 2 for 4 with a double. Throw this in here. Kyle Tucker had a hit. So that's, he's coming around at the plate, it seems like. Maybe not. And because in the next game, they lose that game. And it was Jazz Chisholm who hit a home run in the 9th. But and he was to win the game. And it was Evan Phillips and Will Klein and that gave up the runs. And Muncy was 0 for 2. Tucker was 0 for 4. Only 4 hits for LA. One of them was a pinch hit home run by Tommy Edman that tied the game, but it wasn't enough. But they come out of the Bronx winning that series against the Yankees. Then they head to Philadelphia. Always a good matchup when the Dodgers play Philly. First game out, Mookie tried. Wasn't enough. It was a little too late. They lose this game 10-7. Mookie was 4 for 5 in this game. So it's good to see Mookie. With 2 home runs. So it's good to see Mookie Betts, getting his groove back at the plate.
Mookie got his groove back, huh?
That's right. But in this game, it was really Trey Turner who had 2 home runs. He had a double. He was 3 for 5. Also, you had Bryce Harper had a home run.
Well, Trey had to do something. I mean, they were booing him.
Yeah.
In Philly, which isn't unusual. They boo a lot of people, but
they do.
But when you're booing their own players,
Yeah, but that's pretty standard. But the Dodgers lose the first game, but they get both of the game 2 and game 3, win those games. Tanner Scott got his 15th save in that second game. And in the second game, I listened to the second game with that poor, like really bad base running by Muto and Crawford. And you're like,
Oh yeah.
what was the coach? What was happening?
You would think that Real Muto would have been on top of that. I mean Crawford too, but definitely Real Muto.
Yeah, definitely JT. I mean, come on, you got that. But Robleski, another good outing, 7 strikeouts in this game. And then in the last game, Eric Lauer pitched. And Eric Lauer, every time he has pitched for the Dodgers, he has not lost. They win every game. I mean, as far as the Dodgers have won,
somebody mentioned the other day that he would be he's potentially a trade chip. Which
yeah, I
guess technically
too.
Everybody is, but
I heard that too. And so we'll see if that holds, but I hope not, because I think he's been a good asset for the Dodgers, and you almost kind of forget
that's
about him.
You got to hope that other teams are like, oh, let's get in on Sheehan or Robleski even.
Right.
You know, not that you want to give him up, but looking at those guys, and I have something to share. We'll talk about their trade deadline too when we get to the after we're done.
I think if you're just talking, mentioning those guys, if I'm looking at Sheehan and Lauer, I'm gonna keep Lauer because one, he's a veteran. He has more of a that presence, and Sheehan, he still needs some work, but who knows what will happen. So, Dodgers come out of Philadelphia, win another series. And Max, 1 for 5, had a 2-run home run in this game. He also had a home run in the second game with that the crazy base running error. That's what I remember. And then they head to Queens to play the Mets.
With a quick stop in between to go down and check out how the construction on the reflecting pool.
Yeah, the reflecting pool, see the new rose garden. Apparently that's really very nice. Everybody loves it. And Clayton Kershaw was there. He was pretty funny because President Trump asked him, you would come out, if they needed you, you would come out and pitch again, right? And he said, no, sir. So
nope, I am
or
done.
When he asked, there were some funny moments. He asked Shohei how Freddie was doing. How's he playing? So there was
He's
some
like better than me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Will's not here to answer that for me. I can't.
Yeah.
Say it.
So stopped in between, went down to DC, celebrate their World Series win, and then went to Queens to Citi Field to play the Mets. And if you watch this game, Roki Sasaki pitched in this game, and he always has a yellow glove. But did you see anything different about this yellow glove?
I didn't see him.
It was huge. It's big.
Oh, that's right. He got a bigger glove.
I forgot a bigger glove. And the reason is, and this is something we've talked about, is he must be tipping pitches. And that's what the Dodgers pitching staff thinks may be an issue. And he has a big yellow glove to help with that. And even Oral Hershiser was saying too that when he was pitching, he didn't want anything. He didn't want his wrist to show anything on his arm because he didn't want them to be able to see anything. And so he's like, he needs to pull his sleeves down. and
Something.
all the
Well,
things.
it looks like it worked. He goes 7 innings.
9 strikeouts.
9 strikeouts. He only gives up a home run to Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah.
And so he ends up having a really good game. I know in this series, Yoshi would pitch and go 6 innings and just give up 1 run. So another solid
Well, and the
outing
funny
by
thing is
Yoshi.
yeah, this was on, I think this game was on Fox, and they talked to Dave Roberts during the game, and they're like, so how's Yamamoto pitching? And he's like, it's all right. It's not his great, it's not his best. And I'm thinking, I bet a lot of teams would be like, if that's not his best, we want that.
Yeah, we'll take 3/4 of that.
Exactly.
If that's it. A couple guys that I saw throughout, and not to fully interrupt, but
No.
a couple guys I saw had pretty decent outings in New York. One, maybe he should have signed there instead of coming to LA, was Kyle Tucker. Looked like he liked hitting at Citi Field. Couple of home runs, hit 333 over there. But you know who hit for a higher average there in New York?
Freddie Freeman?
Yep, he would be the guy. Yep, 667, went 8 for 12, 3 doubles while he was up there. And I guess he's used to hitting up there from all of his years in
a lot of time
in Atlanta.
playing up there.
So those two guys, where Max Muncy was great in the Bronx, Freddie was good in Philly. He was great with the Met, versus the Met. So, but Kyle Tucker definitely showed something. Now, whether that'll continue on, it was kind of nice to see though that he was in the dugout. Kyle Tucker was, and he had a big smile on his face at one point. And I can't remember the last time I saw.
Yeah, he always has been. It always seems like he's kind of distant from the rest of the team in the dugout. But I've noticed lately that he seems to be more like integrating himself into. So that maybe will help. I don't know. We'll see. But he certainly did like playing in Queens, and yeah, then Dodgers win the series. They win the first 2 games. They lost the second game 8-3. Emmett Sheehan pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and a run. And then Evan Phillips came in, had the blown save. And then Will Klein helped as well, giving up 2 hits and 4 runs. So
yeah, he's not the World Series hero anymore.
No,
he'll always be that. He definitely got something's got to happen with him as well.
Yeah,
so
because sometimes he's like on it, and most of the time this season, not so much. So the Dodgers had, I think, a good road trip. And they come home.
They figure out of what, a 9-game road trip, they bring home 6 W's and maintain their lead. The Brewers and the Dodgers, last time I looked, were tied for the best record in baseball. But the Dodgers aren't like a lot of other teams. They're not worried necessarily about, there's things we want to do, or maybe a couple pieces that we need, but we'll figure it out. We're not too worried about it because we got a lot of guys that we're waiting to come back. Because you figure coming up, they've got Seattle, who's been playing better, Boston, probably the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
And then another team that is been playing real well, the Cubs.
Yeah, and the thing about the Dodgers when they play in Chicago, and this has always been like, I remember watching them on WGN. Not to say they don't ever win games, obviously, in Chicago, because they do. But I don't think it's always their favorite. I'm going to say favorite, but place to play, because I think it's just the Wrigley Field confines are not always friendly to the Dodgers when they go.
So get that. Well, conceivably, if the Red Sox keep playing as well as they have, and the Cubs are playing, and Pico has been putting up MVP type numbers, that by the time we see them in Arizona, they could be coming in on a 6-game losing streak. Conceivably.
Conceivably.
I mean, they may not, but you figure coming up, you got the Seattle series, and you've got both Kike and Edwin Diaz coming back. So there's a couple of pieces that have been gone for a fair amount of time. So you get these guys coming back in, and hopefully and Kike, even if doesn't come in and play great, there's something about Kike being in the dugout and just his presence.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we'll talk about another guy here in a second whose name's been brought up in trade talk. That's a presence in the dugout as well. But that's where we got to look at the trade deadline with the Dodgers, because really, like we talked about with the Padres, they're waiting for some pieces to come back. Well, if the Dodgers get everybody back healthy and they stay healthy the rest of the year, they don't even really need to worry about the trade deadline too much, because they're getting back Cy Young winners and
Right.
And
Well,
Blake
I mean,
Snell,
I think
you've got Tyler Glass now coming back, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Blake Snell has been in doing rehab assignments. I think the other night he was in Ontario, pitched 4 innings, looked good there, had like 7 strikeouts, something like that. So looks like he's coming back. You mentioned Diaz, and then Glass now is going to be starting rehab. So, pitching wise, you think, will they need somebody else? But then you also have to look at Shohei.
There's where I was going.
Yeah. Who has a knee soreness. Still not really sure, because remember, he didn't go to the All-Star game because they had that fluid drained.
Right. Well, he did
like,
the
that
fluid
doesn't
drain,
sound
and
good.
then that not only that, but then he had that he had an injection. They drained it, and then they did an injection for lubricant in his knee. But
and then
I'm wondering if the knee's not as big of a problem. Obviously pitching, but you see him running.
Right.
And he seems to be okay, stretching, hits a single, is able to make it into a double. He doesn't seem to have a problem with the running.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's something,
but
emotion on the mound.
Well, hitting on that with that, but they also said he has a bicep.
Yeah, issue. I was just going to mention that.
I think in Dodger fashion, they're downplaying the whole bicep thing.
Yes.
And, the knee, I get it's his landing knee. And there is something to be said about that's probably different than running, because you're popping it down. But
right.
I think at that point, when you look at it from the standpoint of Shohei's not in there, if they get Blake back and he's fine the rest of the season with Blake, Yoshi,
Roki, yeah.
Roki, if you get Glass now back, then, you really don't need that. But, and here's one thing we talked a little bit about, and we hadn't really got too deep, but this trade deadline, how much is the upcoming CBA, and the closer we get, or the farther along we get, the more and more people are like, there's not going to be a season.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I've heard a lot of about a lot of owners saying, yeah, there's going to be no season. Like they're
And
just flat out saying there's no season. So if there are owners that are saying that, then why would you even bother to make any type of trades?
well, or if you're going to make a trade. So here's the thing. I think that the Dodgers should look at it and say, we're not going to have Shohei to pitch. I think they could just do that right now.
Yes.
I think Blake Snell will be okay coming back. I'm not sure about Tyler Glass now.
Yeah, he's the wild card.
I think they still need to be quiet about it, but I think they need to go get Scooble. And you know why?
Why?
Because they're the Dodgers and they can.
Right. Well, I mean, if there's the Dodgers are linked to everybody, whether they are or not. And Scooble has always been linked to the Dodgers as far as trade. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. Snell's going to be okay. Yoshi's going to be good. Roki, if he can continue, be fine. They keep Lauer. I think that's another.
And once again, we went through all that and didn't even think about,
because you forget about him.
But when we look at the playoffs, that's where you want to have Yoshi, Snell, Glass now.
Yes.
And then Robleski, I guess. But if you get Scooble, you throw Scooble in there, and then those other guys could spot start if they needed to. But you've got bullpen arms in Lauer, Robleski, Roki. And we know what Roki did last year out of the bullpen. So I think the only thing, and I think that when you look, and if you look at the Dodgers minor league system, the Dodgers could trade away Emmett Sheehan and probably give up a middle two prospects, a middle prospect who's probably from the top 100 prospect, because I think they said something like 9 or 10 of the top 100 are Dodgers.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Hey, this is a team that just buys championships. They don't have anybody in their system.
Yeah.
So if they could do that, they could get him. I'm with Friedman. He doesn't like to overpay this time of year, and I don't think he needs to. And I certainly wouldn't, not knowing what's going to happen going forward, because Scooble, you don't know how much you're going to be able to sign him for when you can finally, so you're not going to give him an extension, trade for him and they give him an extension that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars when you don't even know how much you're going to have to cut back. And then you end up having 3 players that take up almost all of your stuff. And then you got to have a bunch of guys, which maybe you'll be lucky. You have a bunch of guys like Max Muncy who are, playing for almost nothing compared to what their team's worth is. Or they can all be like LeBron James, who, if you heard, just went to the 76ers. He's making $4 million a year after making $52 million, I think it was, last year.
Yeah.
So, you get maybe some guys who are willing to play for cheap like that. But even with Shohei's deal, and that's one thing that this salary cap, if they get their way, no more of the deferred money.
Right.
And so all that stuff's going to go away somehow. I don't know how that's going to work out, but they want it to start next season, not okay, we're gonna just gradually get that in. So the Dodgers don't really have to do a whole lot, but I think that if they play it right, they could be just like when they signed Trevor Bauer.
Mhm.
Everybody was sitting around waiting, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, Trevor Bauer's a Dodger. What? We were
Yeah.
all surprised by that because it just
Mhm.
came out of nowhere. I think that's how they got to do it at 2:59 or right at 3:00. Jeff Passan's brain, his head's just going to explode.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
because the Dodgers are going to end up getting Tarek Skubal for something less than what everybody thought they were going to get. So
It'll
all
be
right.
interesting to see what the Dodgers do because we also have, I mean, not just pitching rotation, but there's also been talk about catching, getting another catcher because Will Smith, again, they say it's the neck, but then they say, but he's pain free, but he's not doing baseball,
Yeah, he's pain free
activities.
when he's doing nothing.
When he's doing nothing, right? When I'm just sitting, I'm pain
When
free.
he's laying
So,
down on a special pillow
right.
that cradles his neck,
Exactly.
he doesn't feel any, and he's on morphine.
Right.
Um,
Hopefully not, but that's the thing. The Dodgers are always very close, close to the chest when it comes to those injuries, and so you're not really sure. And Dalton Rushing is coming along, but he still does things,
there's
and
too many of those little outbursts
exactly
that continue to happen, and as much as I'm sure, and they, Dave Roberts has always been good about talking up players.
Yes, always.
I haven't seen Elizer Alonso do anything bad,
No.
but he's got a ways to go. He is just like Dalton Rushing as far as he's got to develop through. So I
Yeah.
don't know that as the Dodgers, I don't know that you go out and overspend on Hunter Goodman.
Yeah.
I mean, great catcher that he is, all-star catcher that he is.
Yeah.
I don't know that you go after there, but you get somebody that, I think they do need a solid catcher.
Yeah, I think they do too, just because the unknown of what's going on with Will Smith. And a lot of times when you're going to listen, you'll listen to lots of things about the Dodgers. And so he's like, well, he's on the IL, maybe he's on the 60-day, but he can get healthy, start playing September. Because they're not looking, yes, they're wanting to win games now, obviously, and they need to win games. But they're looking forward to the postseason. That's
well,
goal.
and everything. That's what the trade deadline comes to be. That's why it's a matter of, and that's why this year is so much harder than other years, because there's so many teams that are still sitting on that verge of being, they're just real close to being able to get into the playoffs. They don't want to give up on it yet. Some teams, obviously we talk about the Rockies, the Angels. I would say the Royals are even, even though they're, playing above 400 now, they're still not going to make it, even though in the Central, it's not that big of, there's not a big gap between anybody, but there's enough teams that are within striking distance. All it takes is to get hot. Look at the Red Sox. The Red Sox were last place, and it looked like they were just going to sit there and well under 500, and now they're over 500.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Dodgers will do for the trade deadline.
Well,
I know they'll do something.
They'll make some little changes like they did last year, and hopefully they're going to be more significant than last year's changes. One thing that I can tell you, and I don't care what anybody says, it's going to take a lot. Talk about Teo being traded.
Yeah,
and
that's out there.
he might not re-sign with the Dodgers when his contract's up. They may not want to re-sign him, but he has been a big part of both of the World Series
Yes.
wins.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't just bring whatever he brings on the field. His clubhouse presence, and that's one thing that works for the Dodgers, is they have a lot of good clubhouse guys, and they work together, not
and a lot
against.
of guys, like, so thinking about Teoscar, is his mentorship of Andy Pages
Yes.
is huge.
You would want to throw Andy off. It's one thing to start off the season without somebody.
Right.
But at this point in the season, do you really want to take, his personal coach away? His mentor away?
No. Absolutely not.
All
absolutely
right.
not.
Alex Call, on the other hand, may be the guy. He may be.
I mean, I like Alex, but yeah, I mean, he could, I'm sure he could be shocked. Do you have a player of the week for the Dodgers?
You know
Did
what?
you think about
I was looking at it. Max owned the Yankees. That was pretty much his series. Freddie was great across the board. I mean, even up in with the Yankees, not quite Max level. I'm giving it to Yoshi for the complete game, just simply because if ever there was a time, every once in a while when something like that happens, he changed the whole complexion of what I think even changed the rest of the season with that complete game, because it gave the bullpen a break.
Mm-hmm.
The bullpen wasn't like taxed at the end of that game and then end up being in a bullpen game later.
Right.
It gives him some breathing room, and I think he did that. And that was yes, he likes to do it for his own personal, meeting his own personal goals, but he also did that for his team. So I'm going to give it to Yoshi.
All right. I like that. I'm going to give it to Roki and his big yellow glove. I think that big yellow glove is giving him some confidence that he needs. It can be his, your teddy bear, your, whatever that you need, that emotional support. And if it's going to help him pitch the way he pitched in his last start, then I'm all for it.
I would have, I didn't think about that, but yeah, probably I wouldn't have given it to Roki necessarily, but the glove itself could have been player of the week.
Maybe. So let me rephrase. I'm giving it, the player of the week is Roki Sasaki's big glove. The big yellow glove.
The big yellow glove.
It could be a children's book. The big yellow glove.
Roki and the big yellow glove.
Yeah.
Hop in the bullpen car and take a ride around baseball. We have got lots of trade speculation to throw out there and more. But as always, we will start off with the players of the week, MLB style.
All right, so players of the week in the National League, it is C.J. Abrams of the Nationals, their shortstop. He hit in all 6 games he played in, had 5 home runs, and he has a Nationals record with 27 home runs as a shortstop. And then in the American League, Jeremy Pena of the Houston Astros, home runs in 3 straight games and an 8-game hitting streak.
Nice.
So shortstop players of the week.
So we, like I said, we've got the trade deadline here, and really, this is the time of year where you have to have a crystal ball. If you're a general manager, the front office of the teams, they have to have a crystal ball because they got to look at the two things, as we mentioned with the Padres and the Dodgers. Will these players that we're expecting off of the injured list, will they come back? And will they stay back? Will they get back to form? And then yes, they will. Okay. So if you say yes, they will, what do we have as far as what we look like? Well, like we talked about with the Dodgers, with what they've got coming back, look pretty well set. They don't necessarily need to go out and get and be in the Tarek Skubal sweepstakes necessarily, or any other player for that matter, because they know what's coming. And that same thing with the Padres. Are these pitchers going to come back, or do we need to go get some? And then doing what John Mosliak, the interim GM, who has hinted, for the Angels, who has hinted that he's going to stay on the job. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that?
I did see that. Yes.
And I'm thinking, why would you want to do that to yourself?
And your family.
Yeah, you must hate yourself. But and we'll talk a little bit more about them in a second, but for the teams that are legitimately pushing forward towards the playoffs and setting it up, they've got to figure out, and they've got to take that risk. They need that, it's this is the thing that when we talk about betting or these prediction markets, Kalshi and those kind of things, they must be making big money. People predicting where somebody's going to go and do that. And these guys need, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, every GM out there needs a crystal ball to know they need their own gypsy to come and tell their fortune, something, because they
need an elixir.
They need to know what's happening. And just like you mentioned with Will Smith, and the other thing they need to, do I need a catcher, and what level catcher should I be looking at? Am I going to put all my eggs in the Dalton rushing basket? Am I going to be sure that Will Smith's coming back? Because if Will Smith's coming back, I'm certainly not going to go out and get somebody else that should be starting every day.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I'm thinking Will's neck thing, and he's not even playing baseball again yet, or even doing baseball activities, is this something that's going to be long term? Is it worth it to me to go get Hunter Goodman? Or I think in a lot of cases, we're looking for somebody who, in any of these GMs are, especially based off of the whole labor agreement thing, you're looking for somebody who's going to be there just till the end of the season.
Yeah, just a rental.
Yeah, you just want some rentals, and that's why I say go after Tarek Skubal, because for all purposes, you get rid of a couple players that you probably would have traded off to somebody else at some other time anyway.
True.
And he's a rental. You don't have to re-sign him at the end of the year, but the rumors are that he would love to come to the Dodgers in free agency because he knows that they'll pay.
Right.
The problem is we don't know what they're going to be able to pay. So
what's going to happen? That's the biggest question mark.
That it is. It's huge. The other thing that comes into play here, and I think before we get deeper into trade talk, we have to take a look a little bit at this too, is you have to look and say, realistically, how many of these players that I have can I expect to make it through with? And if I lose any of these guys, any key personnel, am I happy with my backup?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be concerned with people that might be spinning on the wheel. Oh,
All right. That was a good segue. All right.
it happens.
This
every
is
once in a while.
funny. I'm going to have to look this up because I wrote in my notes, Phillies reliever underwent Tommy John surgery, but I did not put their name.
Which Phillies really?
So pick one, and then and then put it on the internet so people will go crazy. But I'll tell you here in just a minute.
And then you'll get booed when you go to
and-
Philadelphia.
And then, hey, weren't you the one who said that this reliever was, yeah. That's just funny how I wrote that down. I looked down and I'm like, oh, who was it? Oh, Brad Keller of the Phillies.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah. A's catcher Shea Langoliers has a torn meniscus and is out for the rest of the season. He also had just recently, I believe, had surgery on that. And, he was one of the names that had been, and I don't know if it was wishful thinking, but one of the names kind of batted around when people were talking about catchers and the Dodgers, like, ooh, go after Shea Langoliers, but can't now.
Yeah, but once again,
right. He needs to play every day, and then you're going to push, how would the dynamic work? I don't think that would be good for Rushing's mental health.
well, but I think you bring somebody in that is anybody that would be a more of a starter, I think is going to have an issue with his mental health. I don't really see that he's going to so like I said, if you get Hunter Goodman or you got Shea Langoliers, Dalton Rushing's going to be upset because he's going back to being the backup.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Boston's third baseman Chris Meade is expected to have surgery on his fractured left wrist. So he is out. How long? You never know when it's, because we've seen guys come back from, having surgery, and then they, are able to get to a point where it's still padded, heavy, but, not so much in a cast, but you know what I'm talking about? Like, and then they can play. Detroit's Jack Flaherty has a forearm injury, and they expect him to be on the IL longer than the 15-day stint that pitchers get. Bobby Witt Jr. is expected to be back this weekend, but he does have some back issues. It's something he's been dealing with, I think, pretty much throughout his career, but we'll look and see if he does come back that early. Brewers outfielder Saul Frelick has an injured right shoulder. Minnesota's Byron Buxton is on the 10-day IL with a hip strain. Juan Soto is on the IL with a calf strain. And I feel like this is like the second one. Didn't he already have a calf strain this season? Cody Bellinger is out on the 10-day IL and actually looks like he's going to be out a lot longer, probably 4 to 6 weeks is what they're estimating. He has a grade 2 left hamstring strain. And then Josh Young of the Rangers also been hanging out with Juan Soto, I guess, because he also has a calf strain, a left calf strain. And Toronto's Patrick Corbin is on the 15-day IL with left teres major strain. And then this one is my favorite. Yes, I believe so. I believe yes, I think you. And then this is the best one. Not for Harrison Bader, but just the story. So Harrison Bader, he has always dealt with plantar fasciitis and has been on the IL, been on the wheel through almost every season that we've been around. He's always spinning, and usually it's for plantar fasciitis. Well, he was out at a bar, in a section in San Francisco, pretty much shut the bar down, and he injured his foot while riding a scooter. Well, what happened is he crashed his scooter into a San Francisco fire department truck, and the wheel rolled over his foot, injuring it even more.
The
So I'm
scooter
thinking
wheel or the fire truck wheel?
The fire truck wheel is from what I understand.
Oh.
And not quite sure but I think it might have been some impairment happening. I don't want to throw out speculation. I think it's already out there on the internet, but on the interweb. But
On
yeah,
the line.
on the line. But that is the will of IL.
See, and just there, you've eliminated some guys who may or may not have been traded, but they won't be now. Now, I guess
Exactly.
that's not completely true because we know that the Dodgers have traded for many teams, but we know the Dodgers especially have traded for injured players before.
Yeah.
And, a couple of them never came back. They never made it back from their injuries. And
yeah, we never saw them play.
We never saw them play at all. But so that's something to look at. And that's why that's an important part of all this as well. What if the what ifs you could probably drive yourself crazy with them?
Mm-hmm.
What if something happens to this player? I'm not going to say any specific player because I don't want to be jinxing anybody.
No.
But what if this player has this issue and he's out for a month or 2 months or is going to miss the playoffs? Who am I going to replace him with? And will that player do I feel comfortable with that? And if not, you go out and you get, the Reds have, like, let's say you were looking for a third baseman. The Reds have Eugenio Suarez, who's on an expiring contract. Maybe they're ready to get rid of him. And the Reds have fallen apart as the season went. Has gone. So who knows? Hunter Green, one of their pitchers, is one that's getting thrown out there, bandied about. And he's an LA kid, so maybe that's where they go. Maybe that's where San Diego looks, because they might be able to get him cheaper than they can get some of the other guys.
Yeah.
So, we unless they do something crazy, we try not to talk too much about the Angels this season just because. And guess what?
They did something crazy. No, I don't know if it was crazy, but
for them
yeah,
it is.
For them, it is crazy.
Completely against what they've done in the past, what the Perry Minasian theory of trade deadline.
Yes, the playbook. Do not do this.
And a lot of that goes back to Artie. We know it wasn't just Perry because of all the 27 GMs that Artie's had.
That's right. They all have tell-all books. No, I don't know.
Well, I
wonder if they have to sign NDAs.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up. So you don't expect them to give up the young, controllable talent. We don't have to put any. We don't have to worry about them because they're not coming up for a contract. They're still going to be relatively inexpensive, and I think Mozeliak carries something that Perry Minasian doesn't, and Mozeliak has over 20 years of experience with a successful organization. He's won a World Series as a GM. So maybe he's being listened to a little bit more. And the Angels go off and Now, I get why the response to this. So first, let me tell you what happened, and then we can talk about the response. Mosliak's traded Logan O'Hoppe, catcher that they got from the Phillies organization, who was a top 30 prospect, if not better, in the Phillies. That's when they sent Brandon Marsh there. Now, who won this trade? Clearly the Phillies. Brandon Marsh is an all-star.
Yeah.
But Logan O'Hoppe, who's been having problems, he had injuries, then he's just never come back, and he just seems to have dropped the ball across the board, both behind the plate and at the plate. He's just having a hard time. And then Chase Silseth, who was, one of the thousands of pitchers who've been drafted by the Angels, who's had moments. Those two guys go to Texas, and they get a guy named Arredondo, who's 19 years old. He's a shortstop, but I guess down at single A, he's been playing a lot of third base lately. So maybe there's something there. Of course, the Angels have been playing the kid that they called up, Denzer Guzman, at third base, because he too was a shortstop. And you've got Zach Neto there. The question everybody wants to know is, how is it that we sent these two guys who are more established and they're big leaguers, they're major league players, for a 19-year-old who's not even sniffed the majors yet and isn't in the top 30 of the Rangers prospects? Now, John Mosliak said he's going to be in the top 10 in our prospects, and he says it proudly. But I don't think he realizes, or he does. He's just trying to spin it. Is that that doesn't sound like your organization is very good.
Yeah.
If he's going to move, this guy's going to he's number 50 in the Rangers, but he's going to move into your top 10.
Yeah.
Then
he's going to be number 5.
You don't have a lot you must not have a lot.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's a spin.
But the kid that they just drafted and signed, the high school player, he moved up and he's number 4.
Oh.
He hasn't played a game, and he was already number 4 in the system. Just on the potential.
Yeah, just the potential.
So the question is, will the Angels make the headlines for this year's trade deadline just simply by doing things? They have Soriano, Detmers, and what was it that you heard the word came down from on high from Artie to Mosliak?
Let's shop Zach Neto and see what we can get. And I've heard that the Rays are interested in Zach Neto, but I've also heard the Red Sox are interested in Neto as well.
The Red Sox definitely need a shortstop. Trevor Story's not. He's injured again.
Ever since he has been injury plagued there.
It's interesting because he left Colorado, goes to Boston's injury plagued. Chris Bryant comes to Colorado and is injury plagued.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he's even still like, when is Chris Bryant, that you mention it, going to just finally say, I'm hanging it up? I mean, because his back is, it's like a degenerative. I mean, come on, really? Do you ever think you're going to play in the outfield? I don't think you are. Just hang it up.
So
go hang out with Rizzo with the bleacher bums in Chicago and catch
and do
home runs.
And do commercials with Blake Griffin for one of them, whatever he does, DraftKings or whoever he's doing them for.
Yeah, I mean, because you're gonna be okay, Chris. You don't need to be in Colorado anymore.
So, or you can stay in Colorado. You just don't need
you
to
can
be.
still live there. I'm
you
not
just
saying I'm
don't-
not
yeah.
kicking you out, but I mean, I don't live in Colorado, so I
Why do
can't
you
kick you
care?
out. I don't care.
Yeah,
We
do
have
you
better
have a
green
vote
chili.
in that?
I do not. The only thing I can tell you is that if you're looking at green chili, Hatch green chili, that's the way you go. Don't believe Colorado. Not good green chili. Blech.
Okay. There you go. Black.
Let me go on that rant. Oh, which let me tell you, real quick, just thinking about the Rockies. When saw the Isotopes play, and the majority of the players in the lineup were born in 2001. So you're like, okay, but there were several guys like 1997, 99, and you're thinking that's not really old, but it is, like in the minor leagues. And in this game, they lost 5-1 to the River Cats, the Sacramento River Cats. One run was a wild pitch, 2 runs, errors by the right fielder. And I was like, what is happening with the with their AAA team? I mean, they were just it was hard to watch.
Well, yeah, that's why they don't have anything going up there. The people that they have to call up are not there.
Well, and then the people they do have, like you mentioned, Hunter Goodman, then people are, looking in on him and thinking, well, we can get him away from Colorado. Also, Kyle Freeland is also might be,
right. You need
on the
some
trade block.
some solid pitching. He could help.
And maybe he needs to get away from. He's from Colorado. He is from Colorado. Kind of signed there because he's the hometown boy. But lately, when I've seen him play, he's yelling at people like, "Get off my mound!" And
Right.
just he needs a change of pace. But
so
yeah, the Angels making that move is, I think that's, that I think maybe shows, maybe that was like, okay, I'm the new GM, I'm doing something.
right.
And I know a lot of people like Hoppy, but you know what? You got to let him go. And as soon as he got to the Rangers, they promptly put him in AAA.
Yeah, they assigned him to AAA as soon as they got him. And that's the thing. If you read through, like on Twitter, we know that probably some of the people that are upset that Hoppy was sent off a couple of weeks ago were complaining that we need a better catcher.
It's always the same people. Always the same. Joe Adell, if we mentioned Joe Adell, has been linked to talks in the Yankees.
Yep.
And I wonder does that have anything to do with Aaron Judge is still out? When will he be back? Don't know. Cody Bellinger, hamstring, grade 2. How long is that going to take? They say 4 to 6, but hamstrings are tricky. But so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But I do know that whatever happens, it's, we're going to be from today until Monday, like, and it'll be Monday when everything happens.
Well, and then at the end of it all, we're either going to say, that's it. I thought I was expecting more. Now, like
it's like the hot stove. We're always like the hot stove, and then it's like, yep, that was the cold stove.
There wasn't anything hot about that.
Now, here are some guys I just mentioned real quick. Here's some guys that are out there. Don't think anybody really wants them. Alex Manoah has been DFA'd by the Angels. Like, that should have happened like years ago. Even though he hasn't been with them years. Lance McCullers Jr. was traded from Houston to Milwaukee, DFA'd.
that's where the crystal ball comes in. That somebody, Jerry DiPoto, who was the GM,
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago or whatever he was for the Angels, should have seen it in the crystal ball that we're going to go ahead and DFA Alek Manoah now.
Right.
It was not effective until July of 2026.
Yes. And then James Tyon of the Cubs was also DFA'd.
Oh, wow. I missed that one.
So
when you look at this, we know that Tarek Skubal's the big name out there, but a lot of pitchers. And, like we brought up, Soriano and
Ooh.
Detmers.
Yeah, and I just saw that Robbie Ray is being kind of shopped and that they are willing to send Robbie Ray and pay his salary, whatever he's owed.
So that's something there. You got to look at the teams that are out of things to see what do they have and who would they send. You can look at San Francisco, and they've probably got pieces that they would send somewhere. If you're looking maybe for just an outfielder, Ramos might be available. I'm pretty sure probably one of the most, the only really truly untouchable there is probably Logan Webb.
Yeah, I think he, out of anybody on the Giants, is the untouchable.
I think they're probably looking for a way to package a younger player and Rafael Devers somehow.
Yeah, but I just don't know. But how would they do that? I don't know who would take him.
Oh, I don't know either. That's the problem. And he's there, he's stuck in there. But when you look at the American League, your wild card teams right now are the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Guardians, because your league leaders are the Rays, the White Sox, and the Rangers. And the Rangers are just a game over 500. So who knows? Houston's been playing really well. Houston's 500. So the Astros may do like they've done so many times in the past and start off at the bottom and end up winning the West when it's all said and done. But
that is true.
Just outside of the wild card, first two teams out are the Twins and the Astros, both playing at 500, but they're right there. And honestly, until you get down to the Royals, the A's, and the Angels, everybody there it's 5.5 games and up. The Blue Jays, I think, are on their way completely out of this. I don't think they're going to recover, and I think that they may, they could probably sell. In fact, if I was looking at, I would probably call them up about Shane Bieber. He has shown some return to form this season. He might be somebody worth taking a chance on, finish up the season with. If you need a bat, they've got guys on expiring contracts. That you could probably pick up. I know George Springer's one of them. I don't know that you want his .215 batting average, but you never know. A change and maybe going to a team that is contending can change an attitude as well.
Totally could. I also heard, just thinking of Toronto, that the Phillies are interested in Dalton Varsho.
Right. So the Phillies are looking at a few different players, and in fact, I'd heard their name mentioned even in consideration for Zetto.
I also heard that, and then I was just looking, and Tarek Skubal is, I mentioned the Cubs, obviously the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Rays, but there's like two more. It's like 6 teams that could benefit from, because even like the Braves
could realistically pay what
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
going to be asked for. And when we talk about the Tigers, I think the Tigers are right there. They're 4.5 games out of the wild card, but they just went 5-5 over the last 10 games. It doesn't feel like they're stepping over and towards. It seems like they're kind of falling back a little bit.
Yeah.
So if we look at it right now, as of today, the teams that you could figure could be buying versus selling that are on the outskirts would be the Twins, the Asterisks, the Mariners, and the Orioles. I'm not even sure that I'm really, even at 2.5 games out, that I feel like the Orioles are going to go there, because I think they're roller coaster riders. They overachieve for a few games and then they underachieve for a few more.
Well, and Adley Rushman, you mentioned him earlier, but I've also heard that he possibly, maybe a Yankee. That's, kind of
you would at one point you would have thought that wouldn't be something because Austin Wells was an all-star, but Austin Wells has, he it's almost like looking at Cal Raleigh. I almost feel like Cal Raleigh was that was just a fluke season last year.
Well, and he recently came out and I don't know that he said like this is the reason, but alluded to I shouldn't have played in the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, and that caused okay.
And that's causing his issues this season. But I don't know, really we won't know until the next season.
Right.
So to see, does he bounce back? And then you're like, okay, maybe the World Baseball Classic was, did have some something to do with it.
Right.
Or it was a fluke.
So when we look at the National League, we know the Dodgers, Brewers, and Braves are all your league leaders. You've got the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, and the Phillies are 3, 4, and 5 as far as the and they're the wild card team. So let's say 1, 2, and 3 in the wild card. The Padres moved themselves up from being like 5 back to a game and a half out. Can they sustain that? Depends. If they don't make any changes, or they don't make meaningful changes, or they make a couple changes and then Musgrove has a setback, or Pavetta does, neither one of these guys make it back, or they lose, one of the bigger players, then that's not going to happen. So they're sitting right there. They're in a fragile place. The Marlins right behind them, and the Pirates are right there as well. The Nationals are 2.5 games out, and then the Cardinals at 3. Cincinnati's at 6, but Cincinnati's kind of at that point, like we were talking about with the Blue Jays. Even though they're really just a good winning streak or two away, it doesn't feel like that they are putting themselves in a position or want to get there. So the Giants are 10.5 games out of the wild card than the Mets and the Rockies. So we know that those 3 teams probably aren't going anywhere. I don't see the Mets really selling off any pieces. Maybe Peralta might be.
Maybe, yeah. His name has come up when you hear about some, possible trades. I think the Giants, they're not going anywhere. I don't think they're really going to do anything, obviously, with sell off, but
I wonder if
the pieces that they have to sell, especially like you said, Devers, who's in the market.
I wonder
for that.
if they would move Lee.
Interesting.
I mean, I mean, just like I don't know who'd want him specifically, who would need him, but but so once again, I think the point that I'm not really illustrating very well here is there are a lot of teams that are so close that, and like we said, a few seasons ago, the Angels were one of those kind of teams. They were very close, and they didn't buy well, but they still bought, and there was some hope with all of that.
Yeah, you get excited
And then
about the possibility.
it fell apart. And there's no guarantee that even if you do buy, versus selling, that it's going to work out. I think some of these teams probably need to do a little bit of both buying and selling.
Mm-hmm.
In that there's probably somebody in that lineup that they should jettison who may look like they're having a good year, but they're not really contributing to anything.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get, he said he was just kidding, but Fernando Tatis, when he was asked about it, he was one that was singing, "Hey, you never know with AJ what he might do." And at this point, everybody's on the table. He says, even I might get traded. And then he said,
I mean, really, right?
He says, just kidding. But really, if AJ Preller thought that he could turn Tatis and get a couple of pieces that would really put them over the top, he would send Tatis to Ipswich if he thought that he could get.
I think so too. Yeah, it's like, sorry, but you got to go.
I mean, I like you, Fernando, but yeah.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Yeah, you're not going. So that's the problem is right now there's so many teams that are probably hinging, and like you said, everything will wait till Monday. There'll be some stuff. The Angels are in a position where they can get rid of people now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe work around.
Right.
But the problem is by going too soon, you don't, if you go too soon here, you may end up missing out on a few teams that have this the series that are coming up, these weekend series that are starting Thursday, Friday, very well could be by Sunday afternoon, everybody will know, yes, I'm buying. Yes, I'm selling.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not doing anything.
Well, and you keep seeing across, especially on Twitter, who was it? Ketel Marte. He doesn't follow the Diamondbacks anymore. Yeah, he's like scrubbed his social media of the Diamondbacks. But then you read, well, no, they don't plan on getting, doing anything with him.
And
so
then you also, realize, wait, he's what they call a 10-5 player.
Yeah.
And he could, even if they wanted to trade him, he'd have to approve it.
Right.
So, you wonder, though, did somebody talk to him about it? And number one. Number two, what did we just say? Who is the number 2 wildcard team? The Diamondbacks.
Yes. Yes.
They're 5 games over.
I think there's always a lot of mind games that go on during trade, because then people read into things all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
that's the most fun about the trade deadline.
It is.
And the hot stove is the speculation.
Yeah.
The art of speculation, as we called one of our episodes. I believe it was the last episode of season 1, the art of speculation, living in fantasy land or something like that.
Yes.
So with all of those things, and you know what, there's going to be a lot of players. I don't know. Obviously, with somebody like Skubal, he may not end up going anywhere. It seems more likely that he will. Recently, especially after last outing, that he pitched well, but the Tigers just couldn't win.
Right.
But that one little thing doesn't mean that they're not. If they have a great weekend series and end up, winning the winning the last few games of going into the weekend, it's almost like this is going to be this is like kind of the end of everything kind of stops Sunday, pending Monday's trade deadline, and then we'll get
Yes.
to and then we'll start seeing. And are there any day games on Monday?
Ooh, I don't know.
Let's see. Monday, what's the earliest game? It's a short schedule, and nobody plays before the trade deadline. The first game will be Washington at Philly, and that's a 6:40 start, so 40 minutes after the trade deadline.
Oh, okay.
So everything once Sunday night. The Dodgers and the Red Sox are done around 10:30 Eastern time. But a lot of stuff is already, everybody's going to know this is where we're going. This is what we're doing.
And there are things like I just saw it, like Louis Varland, who's been great for the Blue Jays. Don't ask us because he's not available. And that's what the Blue Jays are saying. Or that's what people are saying the Blue Jays are saying.
And
but I don't know.
That may be the case. There's sometimes you got to hold on to certain players. I mean, this final matchup going on Sunday, I just was looking. If it holds true, the Brewers are in Anaheim, and a guy whose name hasn't come up, but you've got a pitching matchup that looks pretty good that's going to be on the Peacock game with Milwaukee, and that Mizorowski is going to be pitching against Walbert Urania, who has been throwing well for the Angels. And so if you're going to get rid of Reed Detmers and Jose Soriano, keeping Urania, that's a solid piece you want to keep.
Yeah.
And there's little issue with that. So, like I said, though, a lot of these pieces, a lot of things, are only some of the players, like moving Logan O'Hoppe and Chase Silseth, only means something to the Angels fans.
Yeah.
Nobody outside of that. It wasn't like Mike Trout moved.
Right. Yeah.
Or even Zach Neto, who isn't as well known comparatively, but yeah. So that's what we're looking at. A lot. When we talk next week, we're probably going to throw out some names that nobody expected, and there's going to be probably some names omitted that everybody thought was going to move and are staying put with their crappy team.
Exactly. And I do have one last thing as we're going through trades, but it has nothing to do with trades. It has to do with one of my favorite pitchers, one of my favorite Dodgers, and probably yours too, Oral Hershiser. And he will be getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So he will be getting that star on August 13th. And Clayton Kershaw will be there. Dave Roberts, of course, Joe Davis, and Jaime Jarrín, and Bob Costas will be the master of ceremony.
Oh, wow. Does it say where?
No, it doesn't say where on the walk
star will be.
Where his star will be. But I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
so congratulations
maybe
to
that goes with
Oral Hershiser,
his
to the Bulldog.
with his Chevy dealership out in Chino.
Yeah.
So
it's all.
Let's see what's going on.
I'd like to hear what he thinks about it because,
So he's going to get that, you said, on the 13th?
On the 13th.
All right, yeah. Kansas City will be in playing the Dodgers at Unique Low Field at Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that'll put a wrap on this episode of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Remember, you can always find us on our social media. We're Twitter and Blue Sky. We're on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Website is siblingrivalrybb.com. Make sure you click on either the Dodgers or Padres links to Fanatics and get yourself some new gear. You always feel happier when you get a new hat or a new t-shirt. Or
I just got, because it was a pre-order, but I just got my national championship Oklahoma shirt.
Nice. So you can get
and
one of those. Plus, we know, football's getting ready to start up. College is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited this year because USC will be playing Ohio State for the first time since they joined the Big Ten.
Cool.
Right here in LA at the Coliseum. And hopefully this is USC's year to make the playoffs. We'll see. Anyway, you can get some USC gear. You can get something from the Ohio State or Oklahoma Boomer Sooner shirt.
Yes.
All available there on the Fanatics link. Next week, we will be talking trade deadlines. We'll talk about what happened with the Dodgers and the Padres as they move forward and onward towards the end of the season with just about 2 months left. So you still have some time to go out and see some live baseball, not only at a major league park, but at a minor league park. And of course, with August being here, it's almost time for the Little League World Series. And the Field of Dreams game is coming up as well in August. So lots to look forward to. We'll be talking about all of it right here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And we want to remind you, don't forget to swing away.